getting back to license to kill, when everyone leaves Iraq, what do you see as the new frontier for private security and private military contractors? Is it Eric Prince's vision of having an army ready to go to, as you described it as fifth column or something like that? Or
Well, he wants to be the fifth arm of the U.S. military. His assumption is that he's smarter, faster, better than the military, and in a pinch, what they call surge needs, we can draw upon Blackwater, which then has this huge resource of 14,000 ex-military folks to add their expertise, which I think is a great idea. I mean, his big thing is he wants to go into Darfur and do peacekeeping, but it's a very colonialist view. It's something that's quite interesting because on the surface it makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't experienced moral people lend their abilities to provide security in places like Darfur? Well, look at what happened with Sandline and Bougainville when you had mercenaries coming in to basically wipe out an autonomous movement. And then you also look at, what happens when you let this thing run? And you look at Eric Prince's experience in New Orleans, where it all began very well because he was actually training the Coast Guard. He sent the helicopter back down to help with rescues. And then he sent some guys down. And then individuals like hotel owners, wealthy homeowners, who had art collections, said, can I hire you? Can I hire you? Yeah, send some more people down. And what happened is that you essentially had him guarding rich people. And in a bizarre twist, he was actually hired by FEMA, which was the disaster management people, who were under a lot of pressure because they weren't doing anything. So you had a private army in America guarding the government from its own people. And that is a bizarre twist in events. And that's where I point to and I say, well, look, it's a great idea that a white man wants to bring in an army of foreign mercenaries to go solve a problem. But what happens when he gets there and there's a whole bunch of other problems? And you now have groups that now will fight against these people because they should be working with the local population. They don't want those people there and so on and so forth. See, that's the interesting thing about mercenaries. They're a wild card.
Well, that's actually what I was... Does the military look at the mercenaries almost as a stick in the spokes of their operation, them being a wild card?
Okay, now you're talking terminology here.
Okay, yep.
Somebody who fights a war in a foreign country.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with mercenaries because people use them all the time. We also have proxy armies, which are like the Northern Alliance. They're people who we hire to fight wars. But a mercenary is somebody that has the exact same job skills as somebody in Blackwater has. But the application currently is for security, which means passive use of violence. So if you're driving down the road and guarding a truck, you're not allowed to shoot up each city as you drive through. You're only allowed to fire if people fire on you. So technically that is a mercenary. In other words, depending on the European definition, that is being a mercenary. On the U.S. definition, no, it's providing security. So the point is that he wants to break that envelope. He wants to go into areas where he would have an active role in pacifying a region. And that's a big difference because then he becomes a proxy tool.
When he engages in something like that in the United States, so I'm just getting back to the security elements, are there constitutional elements to be concerned about, or are those put aside in a state of emergency?
So you know, we are a country that was founded with private military.
Right, exactly.
And we were very cognizant of the fact that a pissed-off landowner could overthrow our government in about 30 minutes. So we had a thing, posse comitatus.
That's what I was going to refer to.
In which we do not allow private armies on the soil of America, because that just leads to chaos, and that's what you have in places like Russia and whatever in Africa, where the local landlord has his own army, and if you want to enforce the law, he just kills you. So bottom line is that no, we don't allow that, but that is exactly where the concept of private security is going, because when there is no army, when there is no effective police force, you have to have an army. And we're not talking about guys running around with pistols. We're talking about people with gunships and heavy weaponry to deal with the kind of threats we have.